Hello, you're watching Shalom World News. I'm Dana Villa from Chicago, USA. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. More than 360 million Christians suffer high levels of persecution and discrimination for their faith, according to World Watch list published by Open Doors, a watchdog group that advocates for Christians. The study reveals that 2022 was the worst year for Christians worldwide, although the numbers haven't changed significantly from the year before due to an intensifying level of violence, discrimination, and exclusion. The research lists the 50 nations where the Christians experience the worst persecutions. This was presented on Wednesday, January 18, before the Italian Parliament in Rome. After North Korea, there are authoritarian regimes in Somalia, Yemen, Eritrea, Libya, Nigeria, Pakistan, and Iran, all of which are experiencing internal conflict, war, or both. North Korea is once more ranked as the nation where Christians face the greatest hostility and have no freedom at all. If they are caught practicing their faith, they risk being sent to labor camps or even execution. Even owning a Bible is a serious crime and will be severely punished in North Korea. Pope Francis welcomed the faithful and a group of pilgrims from the Democratic Republic of Congo as he finished the general audience on Wednesday, January 18. The Holy Father urged everyone to pray for the African nation and reminded them that he will be in the nation from January 31 through February 3rd. He expressed his sorrow over the militants storming a Pentecostal church in the eastern city of Kasindi, where more than 40 others were injured. The Holy Father also shared his closeness to all the families affected by the tragedy. The Vicar of Christ also spoke of battered Ukraine, urging everyone to remember the people in their prayers since they greatly need closeness, consolation, and above all, peace. He mentioned the most recent missile attack last Saturday in Ukraine, which killed and injured many civilians, including children. According to media sources, a Russian missile strike on a building in the Ukrainian city of Dnipro left 45 people dead and 79 injured. 19 people are still unaccounted for. Interior Minister Denis Monastyrsky, who was one of the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's longest-serving political advisors, died in a helicopter crash on Wednesday in the Brovary area of Kyiv. Authorities reported that he perished in the crash together with his first deputy minister, Yevhen, State Secretary Yuli Lubokich, and others, including crew members and children. President Zelensky described the crash as a terrible tragedy. Britain and the United States were among the first to express shock and condolences over the tragedy. Meanwhile, President Vladimir Putin of Russia asserted on Wednesday that despite significant military losses, a Russian triumph in Ukraine is inevitable. Volunteers from Caritas Donetsk are taking part in a risky operation to provide victims and aid workers with hot meals, clothing, housing, and psychological support. The visit of Pope Francis to South Sudan is anticipated to start a new chapter of hope and inspiration to the Christian population. The realization of the Pope's previously postponed trip to South Sudan, accompanied by Archbishop of Canterbury, the Most Reverend Justin Welby, and the moderator of the Church of Scotland, Lane Greenshields, could bring a long-lasting peace. This is the wish of the Apostolic Nuncio to the nation, Archbishop Hubertus van Megen. The visit that begins in Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo, on January 31, will conclude on February 5th in the South Sudanese capital, Juba. It will be the first visit of the Pope to South Sudan, the world's youngest country. The Holy Father will pray, meet with internally displaced people, and interact with leaders of South Sudan's philanthropic groups during his visit. Though South Sudan achieved independence from Sudan in 2011, following years of civil war, the African nation is still ravaged by bloodshed. Here in the U.S., a Catholic diocese in Iowa has published regulations for its schools that forbid boys from entering girls' facilities or locker rooms and the use of chosen pronouns by students who are unsure of their sex. Following a 2-year-long deliberation process, the Roman Catholic Diocese of Des Moines issued an official counsel this week about identity difficulties among students. The diocese stresses that unjust discrimination and harsh treatment must be vigorously avoided and remedied, and that it is essential to engage individuals and situations involving gender dysphoria with personal sensitivity, compassion, patience, and pastoral care. However, the diocese disapproves of the use of experimental medications, cross-sex hormones, body-mutilating procedures, and the use of chosen transgender people. The guide went on to note that their policies applied not only to students but also to all church employees, personnel, volunteers, and those entrusted to the care of the church. Pakistani lawyer and human rights advocate Abdul Latif Afrida, who was well known for his outspoken criticism of both the military and Islamist extremists, was shot dead at a court in the northwest city of Peshawar on Monday, January 16. The senior lawyer, who was also the former president of Pakistan's Supreme Court Bar Association, was brought to Peshawar's Lady Reading Hospital, where doctors pronounced him dead on arrival. The hospital administration said 6 bullets had hit Afridi. The alleged gunman had pretended to be a lawyer to enter the court grounds. Adnan Sami Afridi, who was unrelated to the deceased Afridi, was the suspect. The incident has been referred to as a security breakdown by the Peshawar High Court Bar Association, which has questioned how a man carrying a firearm was able to enter the bar chamber within the High Court building. John Eibner, the head of the Christian Solidarity International, and Baroness Carolyn Cox of the United Kingdom encouraged U.S. President Joe Biden in a letter to take action to stop Azerbaijan's embargo of Nagorno-Karabakh, which is home to 120,000 Armenian Christians. If Azerbaijan does not comply, the letter requests that the United Nations Security Council pass a resolution that would allow a humanitarian airlift of aid into the area. In a letter to Biden dated Tuesday, Eibner and Baroness Cox of Queensberry, a peer from the United Kingdom, implored him to prevent another Armenian genocide from taking place under his watch. The Nagorno-Karabakh conflict is a long-standing dispute between Armenia and Muslim-majority Azerbaijan over the disputed region. Although it is within Azeri territory, Nagorno-Karabakh is inhabited by ethnic Armenian Christians. Biden became the first president since former President Ronald Reagan to recognize the Armenian genocide on its 106th anniversary in April 2021. On Sunday, January 15, unknown persons desecrated the Blessed Sacrament in a church in Nicaragua's capital, Managua. On January 17, Our Lady of the Abandoned Parish in the San Rafael del Sur region posted on its Facebook page the horrendous desecration that took place. The parish reported that in the wee hours of January 15, miscreants entered the church and forcibly opened the tabernacle and scattered the sacred host on the floor. The parish encouraged the faithful to turn to prayer and announced an act of reparation. According to Open Doors' report for 2023, persecution of Christians in Nicaragua has gotten worse. It is in the 50th position on its World Watch list. President Daniel Ortega and his wife, Vice President Rosario Murillo, have actively worked to muzzle dissenting voices since they came to power in 2018. A particular target of the Ortega regime is the Catholic Church, its institutions, radio, and TV stations. A noted Jesuit theologian and the founder of the Federation of Asian Bishops Conference passed away on Wednesday, January 18. Father Catalino Arevalo, a former professor of the Ateneo de Manila University in the Philippines, died at the age of 97. Jesuit priest Father William Abbott wrote in a note that Father Arevalo had been suffering from anemia and his health was declining after being discharged from the hospital earlier this month. Father Arevalo, who entered the Jesuit order in 1941 and was ordained in 1954, served as theological peritus to the Federation of Asian Bishops Conference when it began in 1970 through 1995. The prelate was the first and only Filipino to have taught at Woodstock College in the state of Maryland here in the U.S. after completing his doctoral studies in 1959. At a convocation honoring St. Ignatius of Loyola's feast day in 1998, the Ateneo de Manila University designated him the father of Asian theology. His remains have been kept at the Oratory of St. Ignatius of Loyola at the Loyola House of Studies in Quezon City, Manila. May he rest in peace. A documentary on pilgrims visiting the International Marian Pilgrim Center of Lourdes in France will have its U.S. premiere on February 8th and 9th, just days before the Feast of Our Lady of Lourdes. It will premiere in more than 700 theaters across the country, according to Fathom Events, which has collaborated with Bosco Films and Distrib Films U.S. The gripping stories of 6 frail pilgrims, each looking for a miracle, are told in the documentary entitled Lourdes. It is the first and only documentary to focus specifically on the pilgrims, although countless made-for-television plays, feature films, and special reports about this Marian sanctuary have been produced so far. The film's directors, Thierry de Maiseri and Alban Tielawer, were inspired to pursue the project after listening to a friend who had recently visited Lourdes. The pilgrims shown in the documentary represent an interesting cross-section of humanity. Pope Francis called on people to be builders of reconciliation and peace and highlighted the week of prayer for Christian unity, which runs from January 18 through the 25th. The Holy Father urged Christians to pray and labor so that among all believers in Christ, the path of full communion may be ever more affirmed. He urged commitment with determination in all aspects of life and urged the faithful to be builders of reconciliation and peace. Pope Francis urged people to express thanks to God for the service of brothers of different confessions carry out in favor of the most vulnerable. The pontiff said this journey of generosity will bring us even closer to Christ, the Good Shepherd. Pope Francis will preside over Vespers at the Basilica of St. Paul in Rome on January 25th to mark the conclusion of the annual week of prayer for Christian unity. American bishops have asked Catholic composers, poets, songwriters to take part in the Eucharistic Revival musical competition. This has been asked to attend this event to revive their love for the Eucharist in ways that words cannot express. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, or the USCCB, Secretariat for Evangelization and Catechesis, is inviting Catholic artists to submit imaginative submissions in the hymn writing and theme song categories. A panel of expert judges will determine a winner for each category to be announced on June 9. The National Eucharistic Congress in Indianapolis in 2024 will highlight the winning entries, and they will also be given $2,500 cash reward in addition to being used in liturgies and other occasions commemorating the Eucharistic revival in dioceses. New and original works will be evaluated based on poetry, musicality, creativity, theological and doctrinal soundness, beauty, appropriateness for liturgical use, and the expression of the mission of the Eucharistic revival. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us tomorrow. In the meantime, you can visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.